It's about 10:30 on a Friday morning in South Holland, Illinois, when Samantha makes a horrific discovery at the apartment of her friend and co-worker, Rachel Galbraith.
She was holding her stomach, laying face down, and there was blood everywhere.
33-year-old Rachel, her best friend, lying dead in a pool of blood on her living room floor.
Her hair looked wet, and I thought maybe, maybe she dyed her hair or she had fallen, she was just unconscious, and I kept calling her and trying to wake her up, and nothing.
A terrified Samantha calls 911.
All I remember is her asking me if I could start CPR, and that's when I bent down and I grabbed her shoulder, and she was frozen. She was cold. So I started screaming she was dead.
Samantha is still in shock and disbelief that anyone would possibly want to harm her friend.
They had told us that she had gotten hit in the back of the head.
They didn't tell us she got hit 20 plus times in the head with a blunt force object.
The horrific news of Rachel's death utterly stuns her family and friends.
I'd heard about it probably 5 hours after it happened.
Our interview is interrupted, but there's a reason.
Keep going. That noise was very significant to you.
I have an alarm set every day at 10:37. That was when she was pronounced dead. And that's just my time to reflect with her.
To this day, police are not revealing many details about the investigation.
Does it characterize as a crime of passion from your experience?
Well, it sure seems to point in that type of direction.
Maybe someone she trusted, but who was filled with incomprehensible rage, according to her sisters.
And as she claimed her body, I knew she was unrecognizable. I mean, to the point where her face was all black and blue, you couldn't even tell it was her.
And they believe it was someone who suddenly and brutally attacked her without warning.
Whoever did it got her from behind, which I think says a lot.
Yes.
Because if she would have been facing him, she would have killed him. Like, Rachel wasn't a weak girl.
No.
Like, she was trained in martial arts.
Now, Rachel's family wants to know more about this man, Rachel's on and off again boyfriend, Jason.
He had 2 separate lives. Like, it's very scary.
Friends say Rachel and Jason lived together on and off for at least 8 years, sometimes as a couple and other times as roommates and friends.
She kept her exes as friends, even throughout, whatever happened.
But even when they were just friends, her sister says things got pretty scary for Rachel, like the night she went on a date with another guy.
He was dropping her off at home. Jason apparently had gone outside banging on the car windows, yelling at the sky. That night, I guess she had woken up in the middle of the night with him on top of her, holding her down. It was enough to really scare anybody.
And then, they say, she kicked him out of the apartment only weeks before she was killed after finding out that he had been seeing another woman for years. And not only that, they say she was shocked to learn that he was engaged to that same woman while living with Rachel.
And she found his wedding registry. I went over there that night, and she was just bawling her eyes out.
And about 2 months after Rachel's death, another shocker, Jason got married.
I said, "You got married 2 months after she was found murdered." He's like, "I'm not gonna let that stop my life." Like, how can you say that? How can you be so heartless and say that?
Then comes one of the biggest bombshells. Despite being married to another woman, it's revealed Jason is the sole beneficiary of Rachel's life insurance policy.
I did not even know there was an insurance policy.
We just found it very convenient that it was instated April 1st and she was killed May 9th. So it was after the 30 days of having it active. And it was for a decent chunk of change, between $100,000 and $200,000.
Despite what Rachel's family says, Jason has never been named a suspect, and Police Chief Greg Baker has no comment on any of Jason's alleged actions or words before or after the murder.
Was he cooperative with officers when he was interviewed?
That's not even something that I could even speak on.
It's a lot to process, and I tracked down Jason, hoping to get his side of the story.
Hi, I'm Melissa with Crime Watch Daily. We're here to talk about Rachel. You were together for so long. You're the last person to see her alive. If there's anything you can say.
My lawyer told me not to say anything.
They just want answers. Do you know anything?
No.
Did
If
you
I did, I would have told the police by now.
Do you have any idea who had hurt her?
No.
You had nothing to do with it. Because people feel like maybe there's some type of jealousy involved.
Like I said, I can't comment.
Did she put a life insurance policy in your name?
According to the police, I guess.
Okay. Oh, you didn't know about that?
No, that's what they told me.
Are you hurt? Are you upset about anything?
I am what I am. That's all.
Jason's attorney, Allison Moda, also posted on Twitter 2 months after Rachel's murder, saying, quote, "Real killer will likely never be found and no arrest ever made." She did not return our calls to explain that comment, but Rachel's family says they will never give up.
I will not stop until we have a resolution to this.